The silent epidemic. Protecting yourself in your golden years. A deep dive into the vulnerabilities of aging and how to safeguard your well-being. Have you ever noticed how, as the years accumulate, the vibrant symphony of life seems to soften to a more delicate melody? The phone, once a constant companion, rings with less frequency. Invitations once abundant become more selective. Time itself seems to stretch and morph, taking on a different character. Perhaps the children are immersed in their own lives. The house echoes with a newfound emptiness, and a subtle question begins to surface. Does my presence still resonate with the same significance it once held? But beneath this surface of tranquility lies a profound truth, often unspoken. Growing older is not merely an acquisition of wisdom. It's also a journey into heightened vulnerability. And it is this very vulnerability that some individuals seek to exploit. Their approach is not a sudden dramatic assault, but a gradual, insidious encroachment, like a gentle breeze that subtly shifts direction. A seemingly innocuous offer to assist with groceries. A neighbor's seemingly caring inquiry about your will. A long-lost acquaintance resurfacing after decades of silence. On the surface, these gestures appear harmless, even benevolent. But beneath the veneer of kindness, ulterior motives may lurk. The revelations that follow may be unsettling, but they are essential for anyone navigating the complexities of life beyond 60. As the years advance, you may become a target, not for your accumulated wisdom and experience, but for your inherent kindness and compassion. Not for your strength and resilience, but for your solitude and desire for connection. Consider the story of Mr. Harrison, a 74-year-old widower who found solace in his garden and the familiar comfort of old Western films. Following the loss of his wife 5 years prior, he lived a quiet, solitary life. Then a young woman from his neighborhood began to visit. Her initial visit seemed purely neighborly, a gesture of kindness and concern. She brought homemade cookies, helped him navigate the intricacies of his new smartphone, and engaged in pleasant afternoon conversations. Mr. Harrison welcomed the company, finding comfort in her presence. However, as the months passed, her conversations took a subtle turn. She began to ask for small sums of money. Could I borrow $20 for gas? Or would you be able to help me with this bill? Mr. Harrison, a kind and generous man, hesitated to appear impolite or unwelcoming. He valued her companionship and wanted to maintain a cordial relationship. But by the year's end, his savings had dwindled significantly, and the young woman had vanished as abruptly as she had appeared. This scenario is not an isolated incident. It is a stark reminder that older adults can become targets, not because they are physically weak or mentally incapable, but because they possess open hearts and a lifetime of ingrained helpfulness. They have spent their lives nurturing, providing, and being the reliable figures that others could depend on. Now, that very instinct to assist, to agree, and to avoid conflict can be manipulated against them. Beyond financial exploitation, there exists a deeper, more insidious form of vulnerability, the fear of loneliness. As we age, the yearning for connection, for meaningful interaction, and for the simple acknowledgement that we are still here can become a powerful force. This longing, often unspoken, can be sensed by those with malicious intent, like a beacon in the darkness. They understand that by offering a semblance of warmth and attention, they can lower your defenses and gain your trust. Once your guard is down, your protection is compromised. Another factor that contributes to the vulnerability of older adults is exhaustion, not merely physical fatigue, but emotional weariness. In younger years, you possess the energy to debate, to assert yourself, and to challenge questionable situations. But with age, this stamina may diminish. You may prefer to avoid confrontation, seeking instead to maintain peace and harmony. Consequently, when someone encroaches upon your boundaries, you may choose to acquiesce, offering a smile and silent acceptance, bearing the burden in quiet resignation. However, it's crucial to recognize that peace at the expense of your well-being is not true peace. It is a form of silent suffering. The rapid advancements in technology also present a significant challenge. The digital landscape has evolved at an astonishing pace in recent decades. Emails, text messages, online banking, and the ever-present threat of scammers impersonating legitimate institutions like Medicare or your bank can be overwhelming. A single oversight, a misplaced click, or a misplaced trust in a deceptive caller can lead to identity theft or financial loss. It's not merely your age that makes you a target. It's the assumption that you may be less adept at navigating the complexities of the modern world. Consider the resilience you've demonstrated throughout your life, surviving wars, economic downturns, raising families, and coping with the loss of loved ones. It is deeply insulting to be perceived as easy prey, but this perception is dangerous because if you fail to recognize these patterns and to assert yourself, you risk becoming a victim of a silent epidemic, the exploitation of the elderly. This exploitation extends beyond financial matters. It encompasses your time, your energy, and your trust. Margaret, an 81-year-old widow, shared a poignant story about her nephew, who re-established contact after years of absence. He expressed his affection and desire to reconnect, and she was overjoyed. Family is paramount after all. However, his visits soon became transactional. He began bringing his laundry, then asking to borrow her car and eventually requesting cash. Margaret initially complied, wanting to believe in his genuine affection. But deep down, she knew she was being used. She simply couldn't bring herself to acknowledge it. This is the insidious trap. We believe that by giving a little more, we can secure their presence. By saying yes, we can earn their love. But the truth is, those who genuinely care for you will never manipulate your kindness. They will not make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. They will not disappear when you assert your needs. Anyone whose affection is contingent upon your generosity is not expressing love. They are exploiting you. This realization can be a painful awakening in later years. After a lifetime of giving, you may discover that not everyone deserves access to your heart. This realization may feel like a betrayal, but it is also a powerful call to action. As you age, you must prioritize the protection of not only your finances and your home, but also your peace, your health, and your emotional equilibrium. This phase of life should be a time for rest, reflection, and the enjoyment of the years you have earned. But this cannot be achieved if you are surrounded by individuals who drain your energy and diminish your spirit. Before proceeding further, take a moment for introspection. Have you allowed anyone into your life solely out of fear of being alone? Have you said yes when your inner voice urged you to say no? Have you mistaken manipulation for genuine affection? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, even once, it's important to understand that you are not weak. You are human. Many kind-hearted individuals fall into similar patterns, but the empowering truth is that once you recognize the pattern, you can break free from it. You can reclaim your agency and reshape your interactions. The next step is to understand how your inherent kindness, your beautiful and generous spirit, can become a liability when misdirected. Being friendly is a gift, but it must be bestowed upon the right recipients. The double-edged sword of kindness, navigating friendliness with discernment. It is often said that older individuals possess a unique depth of kindness and compassion. Decades of life experiences cultivate patience. Loss fosters empathy. Hardships soften our demeanor. We become more attentive listeners, less prone to interruption, and more adept at letting go of trivial matters. While this inherent kindness is a beautiful quality, it can also become a vulnerability if not carefully guarded. Excessive friendliness can inadvertently open the door to those who seek to exploit you. This is not to suggest naivety. You have witnessed the full spectrum of human behavior, both the good and the bad. However, there is something about the later stages of life that fosters a desire for tranquility. You have weathered countless storms, and now yearn for peace. Consequently, when someone begins to encroach upon your personal space, disregard your boundaries, or create discomfort, you may offer a smile instead of voicing your concerns. You may say, "It's okay," even when it is not. Over time, this well-intentioned friendliness, this warm and welcoming demeanor, can transform into a trap. There is a crucial distinction between kindness and indiscriminate openness. Kindness is deliberate, thoughtful, and discerning. Openness, when unchecked, can be perilous, particularly in this phase of life. People may misinterpret your smiles as agreement and your silence as consent. When you fail to assert yourself, they may assume they have carte blanche to take advantage of you. It is astonishing how adept manipulation can be at disguising itself as kindness. A neighbor who begins to visit with increasing frequency, a caregiver who shares their personal problems in an attempt to elicit sympathy, a family member who instills guilt when you attempt to set limits. Their tactics may be subtle at first, just enough to gauge your willingness to comply, to test the extent to which you will sacrifice your own needs before realizing that their motives are not. Genuine friends respect your boundaries. True loved ones understand your limitations. They will not guilt-trip you, rush you, or make demands of you. They will check in on your well-being, not merely check up on what you can do for them. And if you do not currently have such individuals in your life, do not despair. They exist, but sometimes you must clear out the wrong company before the right individuals can emerge. You have dedicated your life to helping others, raising families, building careers, and caring for loved ones. A lifetime of giving. Now, in these years that should be characterized by tranquility, you deserve to be surrounded by individuals who replenish your spirit, who offer warmth instead of burden, who infuse you with energy rather than draining it away. Take a moment to evaluate the individuals in your life. Who fills your cup and who slowly siphons away your energy? The next step is to explore what it truly means to establish boundaries, not out of harshness, but out of a need for self-preservation. In old age, boundaries are not merely prudent, they are sacred. The sacred art of saying no. Boundaries. As a shield of self-preservation. Let's be candid. Saying no has never been easy, particularly for those who have spent a lifetime being the dependable one, the person others could always rely on, the one who worked late, offered assistance, and gave more than was asked, often without anyone inquiring about their own well-being. But now, in this chapter of life, it is time to rewrite the script. Because there is a truth that we were never taught in our formative years. Boundaries are not rude. They are essential for survival. Protecting your time is not selfish. Needing. Quiet is not cold-hearted. Declining every phone call or unexpected visit is not dramatic. This is not a sign that you are changing for the worse. It is a sign that you are finally recognizing that your well-being is as important as anyone else's. And yet, many individuals in their 60s, 70s, and 80s still feel a sense of guilt when establishing boundaries. Why? Because we were raised in a culture that extolled selflessness, even at the expense of self-neglect. We were taught to be agreeable, to avoid confrontation, and to maintain peace at all costs. But what we were not told is that being agreeable without boundaries invites the wrong people to take advantage of us. Think of your energy as a bank account. Every phone call, every favor, every emotionally charged conversation, every instance in which you suppress your own needs for the sake of others. These are withdrawals. And if you are not making deposits, you will eventually become bankrupt, spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. That persistent fatigue, that heavy feeling that lingers after certain interactions, is not simply a symptom of aging. It is the exhaustion that results from carrying the burdens of too many people who do not reciprocate. Consider the example of Dorothy, a 76-year-old retired nurse who lives with her beloved dog, Toby, in a small house that she paid off years ago. She is generous to a fault. Her neighbors constantly request favors, watching their children, picking up groceries, even borrowing her car. Her family members, while they love her, tend to call only when they need assistance with bills or babysitting. One day, she confided, "I feel like I'm living for everyone else, but no one is truly here for me." And this sentiment underscores the vital importance of boundaries, not to isolate yourself, but to preserve the best version of yourself. The truth is, not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone is entitled to your time, and you have the right to be selective now, not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. If someone drains your energy every time you interact with them, that is not friendship. If you leave a conversation feeling worse than you did before, that is not a genuine connection. And if saying no to someone elicits anger, pay close attention, because it means that your compliance was more important to them than your comfort. Let that sink in. If your no offends someone, it means that your yes was being taken for granted. Setting boundaries does not diminish your love for others. It demonstrates that you love yourself enough to avoid burnout. It is not rejection, it is protection. You have lived long enough to understand the value of peace and the destructive consequences of chaos. Why would you invite chaos back into your life simply because you fear being perceived as unfriendly? And let's be clear, people will talk. They will say, "She's changed. He doesn't visit anymore. They used to be so helpful." But you know what? Let them talk. You have nothing to prove. You have dedicated decades of your life to others. You do not owe anyone an explanation for needing rest, for needing peace, for saying not today. You have earned the right to choose who you allow into your space. You have earned the right to spend your days in tranquility, not in a state of obligation. Boundaries also encompass more than just interpersonal relationships. They involve managing your time, protecting your routines, and avoiding becoming an emotional dumping ground for everyone else's problems. You are not a counselor on call. You are not a crisis center. You are an individual with your own needs, your own healing to attend to, and your own desires to pursue. You may wonder, but what if they become upset? Here is a difficult truth. If someone becomes angry because you finally assert yourself, they were never truly respecting you in the first place. They were merely benefiting from your silence. Boundaries extend beyond people. They encompass your time. Might protect your mornings, protect your routines. Do not allow someone else's drama to disrupt your breakfast or their last-minute crisis to steal your sleep. It is perfectly acceptable to say, "I will speak with you tomorrow." It is perfectly acceptable to delay your response. It is perfectly acceptable to prioritize your peace over someone else's panic. You are not responsible for resolving everyone else's problems. Let that truth resonate within you. You are not required to fix issues that you did not create. You are not obligated to carry emotional burdens that are not your own. And you are certainly not meant to feel guilty for prioritizing your own needs from time to time. When you say no, you are not being difficult. You are being clear. When you protect your time, you are not being distant. You are being healthy. When you cease responding to every cry for help, you are not being unkind. You are choosing peace over pressure. Reflect on your journey, everything you have overcome, everything you have built. Do you truly want to spend your golden years seeking approval or running errands for individuals who never inquire about your well-being unless they require something? You have earned this chapter of your life. It should feel light, not heavy. And if that necessitates saying no more often, embrace it. That is not being mean, that is maturity. And the most beautiful outcome. When you establish boundaries, you begin to attract individuals who respect them, people who do not exploit your time, people who inquire about your well-being, people who replenish your spirit rather than constantly depleting it. But first, you must create the space for them to enter your life. Take inventory. Who respects your time? Who supports your boundaries? Who adds to your life? And who subtly subtracts from it? The next step is to explore the power of your inner circle, and why, as you age, it must become smaller, stronger, and more sacred than ever before. The sanctity of your inner circle. Nurturing meaningful connections in later life. You have likely heard the adage, as you age, your circle of friends diminishes. But what is often left unsaid is that this is not a loss, it is a blessing. Because in this phase of your life, you are not merely managing time, you are safeguarding peace. And not everyone deserves access to that peace. When we are younger, our lives are typically characterized by constant motion, large families, busy workplaces, crowded social gatherings, and a constant influx and outflow of people. But as we age, our capacity for noise, whether emotional or social, tends to shrink. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. You have come to understand that every conversation requires energy, every interaction leaves an imprint, and if you allow the wrong individuals to get too close, they will not only consume your time but also disrupt your equilibrium. This is not about becoming antisocial. It is about being intentional. This is the time to guard your inner circle as if it were a treasure chest, because it is. You are not simply inviting people into your home. You are inviting them into your mind, your heart, and your sacred routines. If they do not bring peace, clarity, encouragement, or kindness, they do not belong in that space. This can be challenging, particularly when it involves family. Perhaps it is a grandchild who only visits when they need financial assistance. Perhaps it is a son or daughter who arrives with a heavy burden of complaints and leaves you emotionally drained. Perhaps it is a lifelong friend whose presence once brought comfort, but now consistently leads to gossip, judgment, or tension. Let this be clear. History does not equate to harmony. Just because someone has been in your life for many years does not mean they still deserve unfettered access. Some individuals belong in your past. That does not mean they belong in your present. And here is a crucial shift in perspective. You no longer owe everyone your availability. You are not obligated to return every phone call. You are not required to explain your need for silence. You are not compelled to attend every social gathering or respond to every message. Sometimes peace manifests as a quiet phone. Sometimes protection sounds like the word no. Guarding your golden years, essential protections as you navigate your later years. While emotional well-being is key, it's crucial to also establish practical protections for your peace and security. Firstly, safeguard your finances. Be extremely wary if anyone, even family, pressures you to lend money, co-sign loans, or access your bank accounts. Your hard-earned savings are for your well-being and joy, not someone else's poor choices or assumed inheritance. You have every right to firmly say no to such requests. Secondly, fiercely protect your time. It's a valuable, non-renewable resource. Don't let individuals who constantly interrupt you, belittle you, or only appear when they need something. Drain your precious hours. Limit their access. Your time, even in retirement, is not free. Thirdly, treat your home as a sacred sanctuary. It shouldn't be a dumping ground for others' emotional baggage. Trust your instincts if someone's presence creates tension or chaos. You are not obligated to offer hospitality at the expense of your health and peace, nor do you need to justify your need for solitude. Finally, always trust your intuition. That gut feeling or inner voice telling you something is off isn't paranoia. It's your accumulated wisdom guiding you. Listen to it. You've earned the right to trust yourself. By firmly setting these boundaries, you don't just protect yourself, you create space for genuine connections to thrive. This deliberate choice for peace over pressure brings immense joy, allowing you to live your well-earned years with dignity, freedom, and clarity, teaching others how to age powerfully. So, be careful in old age, not because you are weak, but because you have become more valuable than ever. And there will be those who seek to take advantage of that value. But now, you possess the knowledge to discern their motives and protect yourself. And that knowledge is the key to finishing this chapter of your life with strength, peace, and your head held high.